Fridays are awesome. I'm Carl Azus for CNN 10, and this Friday, we're presenting the third installment of our fourth-part special report on Facebook. The company whose monthly users include a quarter of the global population has become a networking tool many of them can't live without, and made mistakes many can't forgive. The nation of Russia factors in today. It has repeatedly denied interfering in international affairs like the 2016 U.S. presidential election. But the world's biggest social media company started noticing suspicious activity on its platform. Activity, it says, was connected to Russian operatives. And how Facebook reacted dramatically damaged the trust its users had in it. Once again, Lori Siegel has our in-depth report. And meanwhile, CNN.com is featuring breaking news and other stories from around the world.
It was 2016, and politicians had realized the reach of Facebook.
Today, you wrote a Facebook post.
The platform was integral to politics, and had been for years.
I'm the guy who got Mark to wear a jacket and tie.
But unnoticed with all that hype,
New details about the extent of Facebook's role in Russia's election interference campaign in 2016.
a campaign on Facebook to disrupt the U.S. election and divide America was well underway.
Okay, bye guys.
Meet Alex Stamos.
Hi, it's gonna be good.
Have a good day. Thanks.
He's a respected figure in security.
Let's survive the last day.
Today is August 17th, 2018.
Tough to say goodbye to folks, but I'm glad for what comes afterwards.
It's the last day he'll call himself Chief Security Officer at Facebook. He's been there 3 years.
You know, it feels weird to live through history from the inside. I think naturally I want to question whether I did everything I could.
It was Stamos' team who discovered Russians were weaponizing Facebook to influence the election. A pivotal moment for democracy and a turning point in Facebook history. It started the spring and summer of 2016. The race for president was in full gear. The Facebook security team discovered suspicious activity connected to Russian intelligence and reported their findings to U.S. law enforcement.
Why was Facebook not transparent as people went to vote, in the fall?
It just wasn't seen as our position to kind of get involved publicly in these massive political issues. And in this situation, you do not want to be seen as putting your thumb on the scale one way or the other.
At the time, Zuckerberg downplayed it.
The idea that fake news on Facebook, of which it's a very small amount of the content, influence the election in any way, I think is a pretty crazy idea.
I just think at the time I was way too dismissive. I think I just reacted and had a negative visceral reaction to the idea that people were somehow tricked.
By January 2017, a U.S. intelligence report linked the spread of hyper-partisan fake news to the Internet Research Agency, a Russian company with close ties to Putin and Russian intelligence.
Their entire goal was to reduce the quality of discourse and to increase anger and divisiveness in the country.
The Russians took advantage of Facebook's advertising tools, which allow advertisers to target people specifically based on their interests, even their political biases. On top of that, the more polarizing and divisive their posts were, the more likely Facebook's algorithms would show them to more people. Publicly, the company was limited in its transparency. There would be even more revelations later. Internally, Facebook execs treated the foreign interference like the shift to mobile, all hands on deck, and started to increase its security team. By 2018, it would be more than 30,000. But Facebook's failure to anticipate and quickly address foreign government influence on the platform put the company on thin ice.
Facebook battling a massive data misuse scandal.
The straw that broke the camel's back would come early 2018.
Millions of users had their information improperly obtained by a data firm.
Data firm Cambridge Analytica harvested data from Facebook users.
Data of up to 87 million Facebook users, to be precise, collected before the election. The way they got the data was simple, through a personality quiz app taken by about 300,000 Facebook users. What few of us knew was taking the quiz gave the researcher access to not only our data, but also our friends' data. This methodology was completely permissible at the time. Up until Facebook restricted access in 2015, looser privacy settings allowed developers more access to our information.
These are ethical debates that will impact 2 billion people about user data, about the spread of fake news, about the weaponization of the platform.
People were outraged.
You have users asking, should I be spending so much time on Facebook? Maybe I should delete it.
It all dated back to when Facebook opened up the platform to developers.
I think they built something that was beyond their wildest dreams, and it was extremely powerful in ways that they had no idea it could be powerful.
Did you think, oh no, because this was based off of the platform that you were an early architect of?
Yes, is the answer. I don't think it was something that you could have predicted or even thought was a risk.
The social media powerhouse has been reeling, seeing its worst day in 4 years.
It was a turning point for the company. User trust eroded, and Facebook's stock price plunged. And the anger only amplified as days went by and there was silence from the upper ranks. Until Mark finally decided to talk.
Senior tech correspondent Lori Siegel got this exclusive interview.
To me.
What happened? What went wrong?
This was a major breach of trust, and I'm really sorry that this happened.
There were previous instances where they had to issue apologies for breaches in the past. This was different.
Senator John Thune and much of Washington was watching closely.
Everybody wants you to show up. Will you testify before Congress?
I'm happy to if it's the right thing to do.
You are the brand of Facebook. You are the name of Facebook. People want to hear from you.
We just want to make sure that we send whoever is best informed at doing that.
Zuckerberg agreed to testify on April 10th, 2018, and the prep started. Inside Facebook, they built a mock hearing room.
He worked really hard to prepare, and he was ready.
I mean, that was as high stakes as it gets.
Mr. Zuckerberg, is there any regulation?
Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg just hours away from testifying.
It felt historic, the way it was for the tobacco execs in 1994. And I remember someone that day told me they had to bring in an extra row of chairs for the senators because there was so much interest.
We're listening, America is listening, and quite possibly the world is listening too.
And wondering, could Zuckerberg, who historically has had a hard time with high-pressure public moments, deliver?
We didn't take a broad enough view of our responsibility, and that was a big mistake. And it was my mistake, and I'm sorry. I started Facebook, I run it, and I'm responsible for what happens here.
His performance in front of Congress was poised, and he had the right answers. I think he did laps around the people there.
But part of that success was due to the fact that many of the questions asked by the senators demonstrated a lack of understanding about how Facebook and tech in general works.
If I'm emailing within WhatsApp, does that ever inform your advertisers?
How do you sustain a business model in which users don't pay for your service?
Senator, we run ads.
I see.
It was an embarrassment to the members of Congress. It reconfirmed what most of the Valley, and frankly probably many of the viewers, thought was that most of these men and women don't even understand the basic business model, let alone the amount of data that's being collected and the nature of these new communities.
And there's going to have to be a different approach taken in the future.
An approach many thought would be regulation. But after 2 days of testimony, what kind was unclear.
You don't want to put a heavy burden on the goose that laid the golden egg.
Social media is not going away. Technology is not going away. I would hope they would work with us.
Facebook would try to get in front of impending regulation by promising to give users more control over their data and by investigating tens of thousands of other apps that were allowed to collect user data. But it still came down to one fundamental question.
Did making money get in the way of Facebook's mission to ultimately connect the world?